So in today's session we will be completing the question and answers part for the thorough understanding. So the first question is that in which year the Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution? So 26 November 1949, 26 January 1950 or 26 January 1949 or 26 November 1948. So the right answer is 26 November 1949. Yes. So now next question is who laid the objective resolution of Indian Constitution? So we have covered this during our class that objective resolution was laid down by the Jawaharlal Nehru. So it was the Nehru who laid this foundation, which later on became the preamble of Constitution. So now the third question, that who did not participate in the meeting of the Constituent Assembly? So it was the Muslim League which didn't participated in the Constituent Assembly. NCRT में ये भी mention है that princely state also in the starting that it also didn't participate in the Constituent Assembly, but later on we see that there were some princely states which started their presence in Constituent Assembly. So hence the answer is the Muslim League, which did not participated in the meeting of the Constituent Assembly throughout the timeline, that is 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. So the next question is who worked as constitutional advisor to Constitutional Assembly? So it was whether it was B.N. Rao, S.N. Mukherjee or both one or two. So the constitutional advisor to Constituent Assembly was only one, and that is B.N. Rao, who made his eminent role into the drafting the Constitution of India. So the next question is that who played an important role in negotiating with the princely states? So that's a very famous question and popular question among the CUET. So it was not M.K. Gandhi, it was not Rajendra Prasad, it was not Aladhi Krishna Swami Iyer, it was Vallabhbhai Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And hence he is known as the Iron Man of India. So next question is that who was the chairman of Union Power Committee of Constituent Assembly? So this question is little tricky, but it can be handled. So the right answer is Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the chairman of the Union Power Committee, the Constituent Assembly. There are many committees in this chapter, so we will be covering all these committees one by one. The next question is that the Constituent Assembly, it was expected the aspirations of those who had participated in the movement for what? We know that the Constituent Assembly had some aspirations. So what kind of aspirations they had, whether it was related to the self-determination, autonomy, independence, or none of the above option. So they participated in the movement basically not just for autonomy to get power, not just for self-determination, but for the independence. They wanted self-independence. So that is Swaraj actually. The next question is that who was the in charge of interim administration? So it was the Jawaharlal Nehru who became the interim prime minister just after 1947 independence till 1950 when the election actually happened. And he became again an elected prime minister. Before that, he was an interim prime minister just to hold on the government and its administration work. Hence, it is the interim prime minister and not the elected prime minister from 1947 to 1950. And from 1950 till the next tenure, he was the elected prime minister. So the next question is that who was responsible for guiding the draft constitution through the assembly? So it was Ambedkar. If we talk about the legal advisor, being a draft committee member, it was B.N. Rao. But the main responsibility was on the shoulders of Ambedkar, being a chairman of the drafting committee, also drafting the constitution through the assembly and guiding the country from different perspectives. So the next question is that who moved the significant objective resolution? It's very simple that it was only the Jawaharlal Nehru and not the Motilal Nehru. Motilal Nehru was the father of Jawaharlal Nehru, but he didn't propose this. It was the Jawaharlal Nehru who came up with the objective resolution in 1946. The next question is that India's new constitution, it was signed in. So what should be the answer of this question? Whether July 1949, November 1949, December 1949 and January 1950. So yes, it was adopted on November 1949, but it got adopted on the same date on November 1949, but it got enacted and it came to power basically in January 1950. So there is a difference between January 1950 and November 1949, these two dates. So there should be no confusion between two. So what was the number of women members in the Constituent Assembly? If we say, what was the number of women members in the Constituent Assembly at that time? So it was 15. The number of women members in the Constituent Assembly was 15. During the Constituent Assembly debates and everything. So during the assembly meetings mainly. So the next question is that the original document, if we see the original document of Constitution of India, it was handwritten by whom? Ambedkar, Sarojini Naidu, Rajendra Prasad, Prem Bihari Narayan, Raizada. So it was the Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada, which like he handwritten the original document of the constitution. Also, he handwritten in a particular style, that is calligraphy. कैलीग्राफी में हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन लिखा गया था बाय प्रेम नारायण रायज़ादा and hence is a prominent figure. The next question is, who described the preamble of Indian Constitution as the political horoscope of the Indian Constitution? So this question is important considering the pattern of PYQs. So who described the preamble of Indian Constitution as the political horoscope? Means this is the political, not only the horoscope, but the political dictionary for our country. So who described that? So it was N.A. Palkhiwala. Yeah, it was N.A. Palkhiwala, and who described the preamble of Indian Constitution as the political horoscope of Indian Constitution. So the next is the sources of Constitution which we need to study. So the question part is over. Question answer part is over. Now the sources of the Constitution, which is the very important topic. Sources of Indian Constitution, then we should know that during the colonization period, we came across different acts through colonial rule, not colonial, but company rule and the crown rule. So during those times, there were many acts which have been passed by the British Parliament. So one act was Indian Government Act 1935, where we have borrowed few features of the Constitution from that act. It's not that हमने directly borrow कर लिया, but we have changed according to our situation and according to our political scenario or country demands, and then we applied to Indian polity. So the federal system which we have today between the center and state, it has been taken from the Indian Government Act 1935. Then the Public Service Commission, power of the judiciary, governor's office, and these four have been taken from the Indian Government Act 1935. Next is Germany. So Germany से हमने suspension of fundamental rights लिया during the emergency. For example, 1975 में during emergency बहुत सारे fundamental rights जो थे suspend हो गए थे. It was only because it was already there in Germany, so we took it from there. Now USA. So USA is important because we took the fundamental rights. We borrowed independence of judiciary. We borrowed power judiciary from Indian Government Act 1935, but the independence, though we borrowed the power of judiciary, but the independence was not there. Of judiciary, the independence of judiciary came with the US. So from US we borrowed this concept. So judicial review, again judiciary से related एक और topic जो हमने USA से borrow किया. Then the removal of Supreme Court judges and the High Court judges. The post of Vice President, which was not there in any other country at that time. Probably it was there but not got that much recognition as the USA. So next is impeachment of president. So impeachment of president is a very crucial topic. So these 6 areas, topics, or you can say the principles or the features of the Constitution, we took it from USA. Fundamental rights, independence of the judiciary, judicial review, removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges, post of Vice President, impeachment of President. And now the Japan. So जापान से हमने प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश बाय लॉ लिया है, जिसका मतलब है कि एक होता है ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ एंड एक होता है प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश बाय लॉ. जिस दैट मीन्स द लॉ नेचर also its competent authority which is bringing that law that needs to be authentic. Also the law's nature matters. So there were 3 questions which were related to procedure established by law. The situation also matters when we are applying the law. It's not only that we took it as a due process of law as it said in law, तो हम उसको word by word नहीं लेते हैं. We take it through the 3 questions that whether the law of nature is relevant or not at that particular time. Its authority, कि competent authority है कि नहीं है. सिचुएशन को भी मैटर में हम लेते हैं. जो सिचुएशन है अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट हम देखते हैं कि क्या प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश किया जाए. देन इट्स लाइक we are taking the circumstances plus law. We are not following the law blindly. That is done in due process of law. Like we follow the law blindly in due process of law. Whatever has been said in the law, word to word, in word and in spirit, that will only be followed. But for the procedure established by law, opposite happens. We don't take it as word as in spirit, but the conditions of the prevalent conditions we take. So the Britain part. So from Britain, we took the parliamentary government, rule of law, legislative procedure, single citizenship, cabinet system, and the writ system. So we know that there is single citizenship in India, and we we don't belong to any particular state first, but to Indian territory first. Hence we are Indians first, and then Gujarati, Marathi, and Punjabi, and so on. Hence there is a single citizenship. In the US, if we see, there is dual citizenship. So rule of law, parliamentary government which we have today, it is all because of the colonial legacy, we can say, or we have took it from the Britain. Legislative procedure, writs, cabinet system, single citizenship, it's also because we were very much familiar with the Britain's system because of the colonial legacy of 200 plus years. So hence we adopted the parliamentary system and not the presidential system. The next country is Irish country. So from Ireland, or Irish, not Irish but Ireland, yeah. So from Ireland we brought DPSPs, Directive Principles of State Policies, nomination of members to Rajya Sabha, and method of election of president. That is very important. Basically PR system, the proportional representation system. We took it from the Ireland, the USSR. We took fundamental duties, Article 50. It's 51A. Yeah. So, fundamental duties, ideal of justice and preamble. It's only from the USSR we took. Then the France, republic, the idea of republic, that the head of the state will be elected. We took it from France. And the ideals of liberty, equality, fraternity, which we have in our preamble as our aspirations and goals of the country, of the Indian Constitution, we took it from France. So the next country is South Africa. So the amendment procedure, election of members of Rajya Sabha. Basically, the amendment procedure according to 368 and election of members of Rajya Sabha. Remember that the nomination of members of Rajya Sabha we took it from Ireland, but when it comes to the election part, we took it from South Africa. So there is a difference between the nomination and the election. Nomination of members of Rajya Sabha is done by the president. The election of the members of the Rajya Sabha is done by the electoral college. So these are the 15 women which were the part of Constituent Assembly. Basically, Durgabai Deshmukh, Hansa Mehta Begum, Ammu Swaminathan, Dakshini Velayudhan, Purnima Banerjee, Kamla Chaudhary, Malti Chaudhary, Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, and she was the sister of Nehru. Yeah. She was also the diplomat at that particular time. Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, she was the first health minister. Aizaz Rasool, Sucheta Kriplani, Renuka Ray, Annie Mascarini, Leela Roy, Sarojini Naidu. Yeah. So these were the 15 women which were the part of Constituent Assembly. We cover, yeah, it. What was the number of women members in the Constitution? It was 15. So hence we will conclude our topic, not particular topic, but yeah, question part and the sources of Constitution. Thank you.